Welcome to Bite Size Bunny. My name's Tony, and today we're going to be talking about The Furious. In The Furious, we've got our two lead characters who are trying to track down their missing loved ones. We've got a mute father who is trying to track down his daughter who has been kidnapped by a criminal network, and then we've got this journalist who's trying to find his missing wife. When the two characters cross paths, they team up to take on the criminal underworld, and they fight everyone that gets in their way. This film is being marketed as the best action movie to release since The Raid, and personally, I don't think it's quite there. But there is no doubt that the action in this movie is phenomenal, and I had such a blast while watching it. The fight sequences are top-notch when it comes to the choreography, and the camera work is spectacular. It doesn't rely on shaky cam whatsoever. Everything is beautifully captured in frame, so you can clearly see everything that the actors and stuntmen are doing when it comes to pulling off these insane stunts and fight sequences, delivering on that high-octane intensity you would want out of a movie like this. And you've got a wide array of action sequences in here as well. There are some genuinely brutal fight sequences that are nasty and will have you wincing at the screen. There are some truly jaw-dropping, insane action sequences that'll have you wondering, holy shit, how did they do that? And then they even have some absurd action sequences sprinkled into this as well. If you love The Raid and have been wanting a movie that'll scratch that itch for you purely from an action standpoint, then this movie delivers on that. Really, where it kind of falls apart for me is the writing. I would say the action in this movie is like a 9 or a 10 out of 10, while the writing is more of like a 5 or a 6 out of 10. It's not bad, but it definitely feels like you're watching a video game at times. And to be more specific, I'm talking like generic action game that released on the PlayStation 3 before The Last of Us came out. The characters are one-dimensional, with some of them being so cartoony and over the top that it's almost impossible to take them seriously, especially when it comes to the villains in this movie, which definitely takes away from the intensity and some of those more dramatic moments. There's some absolutely horrendous dialogue as well that really pulled me out of the movie at times. It doesn't help that the ADR can be really rough in some areas as well, especially when it comes to some of the police characters that pop up throughout the story. And for a movie that is exploring the specific subject material that it is handling, it can feel a little questionable at times. It definitely has more than a few moments that feel really tone deaf. But overall, when it comes to The Furious, I would still highly recommend it if you are a fan of the action genre. If you're going into this purely for the action and not the story, I think you'll have a great time with this one. If you're going into it for the story though, I definitely think it'll leave you feeling a little disappointed. I'm going to be giving The Furious a 7.5 out of 10. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review. Like, subscribe, and all that YouTube stuff. And have you seen The Furious yet? If so, what are your thoughts on the movie? I'd love to know.